The Kuwaiti parliamentary delegation headed by the National Assembly Speaker Ali Rashid departed for Ecuador's capital Quito to attend the 128th Interparliamentary Union meetings. Al-Rashid, who heads the Arab Interparliamentary Union, said in a press statement that Arab world should move on from the tragic events it is currently witnessing and that the Arab nations should abandon their current disputes and instead regroup under the banner of dialogue as a means to resolve their differences and stop the bloodshed that has led to the loss of lives, damage of property, and has negatively affected their economies. The current situation in a number of Arab countries is unsatisfactory, and this stage should be overcome responsibly, he said, referring to his view that disputes can be resolved without resorting to violence, killing, or the destruction of property. On the meetings in Quito, he added that the number of issues, some of which are related to the Arab world, including development, increasing responsibility, and the roles of parliaments in protecting civilians, will be discussed. Other issues include fair trade, innovative mechanisms for funding sustainable development, and engaging the society to take part in media to illustrate an environment of democracy that respects human rights. Al-Rashid added that he would be holding a number of side meetings with lawmakers from the Islamic, Arab, and Gulf regions. The Executive Committee of the Arab Interparliamentary Union, or AIPU, announced the winners of the Arab Parliamentary Excellency Award at its session held on April 8th. Bahrain's Speaker of House of Representatives, Khalifa al-Dahrani, won the Excellency Award on the category of Parliament Presidents. On the members of the Parliament category, Kuwaiti MP Ahmed al-Mlefi, Lebanese MP Abdel Latif al-Zain, and Sudanese MP Izzuddin al-Sa'id were named the winners. The prize for the Secretary Generals was seized by the UAE's Federal National Council Secretary General, Dr. Mohammed al-Marzoui. The committee headed by the Kuwait House Speaker Ali Rashid has adopted amendments to the AIPU status and rules of procedures in its session 2. And the Arab Institute for Parliamentary Training and Legislative Studies discussed strategies on the future of Arab parliaments in a workshop in the State of Kuwait on April 8th. In a keynote speech, the Institute's Director General and Secretary General of the Lebanese Parliament, Bilal Chara, said the formulation of constitutions in the Arab world requires improvement, whereby the role and duty of legislative bodies should be determined in order to build appropriate parliamentary administrations. The workshop was held a day before the start of the Arab Interparliamentary Union Conference hosted by the State of Kuwait. He said the parliamentary administration, in cooperation with political powers and civil society institutions, are together required to build general policies in the Arab world and pave the way for further interaction from the people, especially women and the young generation. Exchanging expertise between Arab parliaments plays a fundamental role in developing their performance and administration, he said. He also stressed the need for Arab parliaments to adopt the use of IT and telecommunications in order to ease their exchanges with the public. For his part, former Palestinian lawmaker and head of the Organization of Palestinians Parliamentarians Against Corruption, Azmi al-Shbai'i, said that the Arab region is witnessing core changes that will lead to political policies that are different than those applied during former decades. The current period is blurry and its events are difficult to predict, he said, calling on Arab parliaments to enact new electoral systems that can adapt to this new stage. For her part, Dina Milham, head of the Middle East and North Africa programs at the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, an independent public body sponsored by the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Office, said the foundation has close cooperation with a number of Arab parliaments, especially Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Jordan, and Iraq. She urged the importance of building legislative expertise and parliamentary work through training and developing the skills of its workers in the technical and administrative fields. Arab Interparliamentary Union General Secretary Nuruddin Bouchkourj said in a separate speech that the former century witnessed a larger role of representative institutions, especially parliaments, which represent the legislative authority and form the basis of democracy worldwide. He said this role has spread to cover all aspects of political, economic, social, and cultural and diplomatic life. He also praised the role of the Arab Institute for Parliamentary Training and Legislative Studies he described as crucial in enabling lawmakers to able to develop parliamentary work. The Kuwaiti Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee on April 8th approved 4 agreements with other countries and postponed discussing another 6 until the next meeting. Committee Chief Negotiator MP Tahir al-Felichawi said in a statement that the committee met in its full capacity to discuss several agreements, including a joint electricity network administered by an assigned authority between the 6-state Gulf Cooperation Council in order to unify efforts to provide electricity. He added that according to the agreement, Kuwait will host the authority tasked with the plans. An agreement with Romania depicts equal interaction between both countries when dealing with issues such as land ownership for diplomatic missions and consultants, with taxes to be exempted and the real estate being under the full control of the guest nation. The committee also approved after discussion agreement on a draft law related to the order of the International Renewable Energy Agency. The draft law had been assessed by the Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research, the Ministry of Electricity and Water, and the Ministry of Oil. The committee also passed an agreement on the encouragement of investments in Japan. Al-Felichawi said furthermore that a GCC security pact has reached the Kuwaiti government, but that it has not yet reached the National Assembly. Kuwait hosted the 19th Arab Interparliamentary Union Conference, or AIPU, headed by Kuwait's National Assembly Speaker Ali Rashid, with the participation of heads and representatives of Arab parliaments. The 2-day conference discussed several topics on the agenda, including the Union's budgets and programs. The first session witnessed the election of the head of the conference, Deputy and Secretary General, in addition to the review reports by the AIPU's head and Secretary General on recent Arab issues. The second session included the forming of a conference committee consisting of the Political and Parliamentary Relations Committee, Financial and Economic Committee, Women and Children Affairs Committee, Human Rights Committee, in addition to meeting of the Political Committee of the Financial Committee. Day 2 of the conference included the delegation's participation and speeches, committee meetings, and the final session, which included approving the final communique. Pre-conference meetings were held on April 7th, including the Arab Parliamentary Excellence Award Organizing Committee. The Kuwaiti parliamentary delegation to the conference was headed by the Deputy National Assembly Speaker Mbarak Al-Khrenij, MP Ali Al-Umair as Undersecretary, MP Yaqub Al-Sani Secretary, MP Saleh Ashur Treasurer, and members of the Executive Committee, MP Adil Al-Jarallah, MP Mbarak Al-Najada, MP Abdullah Al-Ma'youf, and National Assembly Secretary General Allam Al-Kandiri. The 19th AIPU conference witnessed the participation of several regional and international parliamentary organizations as observers represented by the Arab League Secretary General Nabil Al-Arabi, President of the Arab Parliament Ahmed Al-Jarwan, and the Parliamentary Union of the OIC Member States Secretary General Dr. Mahmoud Aral Kilik, and the Arab Maghreb Union Shura Council Secretary General Dr. Saeed Muqaddim, and the Chairman of the Association of Secretary General of the Arab Parliaments Allam Al-Kandari. Observers also included President of the Interparliamentary Union Abdul Wahid Al-Radi, Speaker of the House of Councillors Dr. Bidallah Muhammad Al-Sheikh, Head of the Regional Programs of the UN Development Program Adil Abdul Latif, and the Secretary General of Asian Parliamentary Assembly, Dr. Mohammed Najad Al Husainan. Al-Rashid said on April 7th that hosting this parliamentary event reflects Kuwait's concern over Arab issues. He hoped that the outcome of the conference would end all Arab disputes. Member of the AIPU's Charter Amendment Committee, MP Abdullah Al-Ma'youf, said that Kuwait seeks to make this conference a success and it will not move any of its personal interests at the top of the AIPU's general agenda. He told the press that the Amendment Committee was set up according to recommendations made in a previous AIPU conference to discuss its status and rules of procedure. There were 5 countries, Sudan, Morocco, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, that had submitted amendments to adjust the inter-rules of the AIPU. Therefore, in this conference, these amendments were to be discussed, then referred to the Executive Committee. This conference was the second executive time the State of Kuwait hosted it. The first was in March 2012. The Arab Interparliamentary Union is an Arab parliamentary organization composed of parliamentary groups representing Arab parliaments. It was born in 1974, and its constituent conference was held in Damascus in the same year. It aims to encourage Arab cooperation through political, professional, and other institutions. In 2004, AIPU was officially announced at Algeria's Arab League Summit and named Damascus as its headquarters. The AIPU was also keen to comprise all parliaments and shura councils in the Arab homeland, regardless of their different forms of representation. Gradually, the membership of the AIPU grew by new affiliations. The AIPU also has maintained good relations with other Arab organizations, such as the Union of Arab Journalists, the Union of Arab Lawyers, Union of Arab Jurists, General Union of Arab Writers, the International Confederation of Arab Trade Unions. It also held many parliamentary events and seminars where Arab legislators have met and discussed matters of common interest to deepen the concept of democracy in the Arab world. Internationally, meanwhile, the AIPU shined in its cooperation with Inter-Parliamentary Union, or IPU, an old international parliamentary organization whose history goes back to 1889. The IPU comprises now more than 133 parliamentary groups from the 5 continents, in addition to other parliamentary and non-parliamentary organizations having the status of observer or associate member. Since its foundation in 1974, the AIPU has been keen on effectively participating in the activities of the IPU, especially after acquiring the status of an observer at the IPU's 61st conference held in Tokyo in 1974. Some of the activities of the AIPU in the Inter-Parliamentary Union can mainly be seen through the acceptance of the Palestine National Council as an observer member in the IPU at the Colombo Council in 1975, the inclusion of the Palestinian issue and the Middle East conflict in the agenda of the IPU conferences, and the success of adopting resolutions condemning the Israeli policies based on occupation, settlement, and persecution. The AIPU was also active in the Afro-Arab Parliamentary Dialogue. The AIPU's conferences and councils stress that dialogue with African parliaments should be given priority among the Union's activities on the regional levels. The contacts between the AIPU and the African Parliamentary Union, which began in 1977, resulted in many meetings. The last of them was held in Nigeria in 2009. Meanwhile, on the European front, the Euro-Arab Parliamentary Dialogue began in 1974 and was parallel to the Euro-Arab Governmental Dialogue, which also started in 1974 in view of the conviction that there are mutual interests in the establishment and the strengthening of overall cooperation between the Arab and the West European countries. The 19th Arab Interparliamentary Union, or AIPU, conference kicked off on April 9th under the patronage of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, with the participation of Arab member states and chaired by presidents of the AIPU National Assembly Speaker Ali Rashid. The two-day conference discussed several topics on the agenda, including the union's budgets and programs. The first session witnessed the election of the head of the conference, Deputy and Secretary General, in addition to reviewing reports by the AIPU's head and Secretary General on recent Arab issues. The second session included the forming of conference committees consisting of political and parliamentary relations, financial and economic committees, women and children affairs, and the human rights committees, in addition to a meeting of the political committee and the financial committee. The Arab world is facing numerous challenges due to the spread of corruption, lack of social justice, and scarcity of job opportunities for Arab youth. President of the Arab Interparliamentary Union and Kuwaiti House Speaker Ali Rashid stressed at the 19th AIPU conference. Al-Rashid noted in his opening speech that these challenges paved the way for the so-called movement of the Arab Spring that stormed various parts of the Arab countries and created tension in the region. He explained that the revolutions of the Arab Spring, which were initially aimed at protecting human rights and rejecting discrimination among the people, have not changed the face of democracy for the better or improved the living standards in the Arab countries. He further noted that these revolutions have toppled unjust leaders, will not accept new unfair leadership. They will only demand new era of justice and a better change. He called on new ruling systems to draw a roadmap that will fulfill people's needs. All efforts should be exerted within the framework of parliamentary organizations and institutes to put an end to armed disputes and spread peace and stability, Al-Rashid said, and he hoped all Arab lawmakers would take on their shoulders humanitarian and national responsibilities to better understand the demands of the people afar from any violence. Al-Rashid added that democracy is not a smooth road nor an easy task. To achieve it, there should be a pressing need for change, socially, economically, and politically, that would restructure the whole society. Therefore, this parliamentary event should voice out the aspirations of every Arab who would want to see positive changes in his life. At the Palestinian front, daily Israeli aggression and the expansion of settlements led to a fallback in the Middle East process. According to Palestine non-member observer state status at the United Nations is an acknowledgement of a Palestinian independent state and an incentive to pressure Israel to commit to international laws. Al-Rashid reminded that the assembly of the ongoing humanitarian crisis that is currently taking place in Syria. Reports show frightening facts of destruction and increasing violence against the Syrian people. These acts of violence are not only threatening the unity and solidarity of this brotherly Arab country, but also the entire Arab region. Hence, it is of utmost importance to find a transitional mechanism that is more effective to pressure the international community to put a halt to this constant bloodshed. The increasing number of Syrian refugees, Al-Rashid continued, need further aid to ease off their daily sufferings. As an outcome of this human distress, Kuwait hosted earlier this year a UN-sponsored donor conference for the Syrian people. He seized this opportunity to remind donor countries to honor their pledges to speed up the process of elevating the Syrian pains. The AIPU president also stressed the need for development reform that would boost the economy and invest in Arab states and face any future challenges. He encouraged the benefit from youth capabilities to improve Arab economies. As an incentive, Kuwait established a $2 billion fund for entrepreneurs to launch their medium to small businesses. The State of Kuwait has also paid attention to investing in education, early childhood care facilities as a gesture to take under its wing the younger generations by protecting their rights. Women also are given care and attention from the Kuwaiti leadership, Al-Rashid noted. Women are the core of any society. Therefore, they have been encouraged to engage in all realms in order to be part of the country's development process. The president of the Arab Parliament, Ahmed Al-Jarwan Al-Shamsi, praised on April 9th the work of the AIPU since its establishment in 2005, aimed at achieving the Arab nation's democratic development, unifying the Arab stand, and bridging relations with other national parliaments. Al-Shamsi stressed on the importance of Arab parliaments in supporting the Arab Parliament to enable to fulfill its goal in unifying the Arab stand in various fields. The aim is to visit other national parliaments in aim of strengthening relations through memos of understanding to what serves the Arab region. Some of the Arab countries witnessed the Arab Spring, which is hoped would accomplish the people's aspirations, adding that in the name of the Arab Parliament to stop the daily killings and violence in Syria, assuring full support of all Arab and international efforts to save the Syrian people from additional bloodshed and achieving the country's stability and security. He added that members would like to congratulate Palestine for the United Nations General Assembly endorsement of an upgraded UN status for the Palestinian Authority from a non-member observer entity to non-member observer state, an important step towards achieving the Palestinian people's aim of an independent state with Jerusalem as its capital. Al-Shamsi called on the Iranian parliament to advise its leadership to end the occupation of the UAE islands and seek peaceful solutions through bilateral negotiations under a set time frame or through the International Court of Justice, and also committing to the UN resolutions concerning nuclear weapons and full cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency. Meanwhile, the president praised the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia, for approving the assignment of 30 women in the Saudi parliament, highlighting the importance of women's roles in politics and democracy. He also praised King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa of the Kingdom of Bahrain for the launch of a national dialogue and the Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir's decision to release all political prisoners and his call for a national dialogue with all political factions in the country. Al-Shamsi hailed the recent parliamentary elections in Djibouti, the launch of a national dialogue in Yemen aimed at achieving national consensus and constructing a democratic state. He concluded that the Arab Parliament opens its doors for additional discussions among Arab parliaments towards stronger relations and cooperation to overcome all challenges and boost stability and security in the region. The Interparliamentary Union, or IPU, chief said, "The IPU and the AIPU have played major roles in serving Arab causes that led to greater cooperation in setting peace, stability, and democracy in the world." Abdul Wahid al-Radi, who thanked the Kuwaiti leadership for hosting the event, also praised the Gulf country for pioneering the parliamentary life and democracy in the region, emphasizing in his opening address the importance of improving the performance of all Arab parliaments that have been striving to reach the level of international parliaments. He noted that last year the IPU sent a team of experts to Egypt to help with the writing of new parliamentary laws. Another team was also sent to Libya to ensure a smooth transition to forming a new parliament and formulating a new constitution. Arab parliamentary life has witnessed positive changes by increasing the number of female parliamentarians and encouraging them to engage in the political process, as seen in Algeria, Morocco, Sudan, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. Aradi pointed out that the 19th AIPU conference, being held under critical circumstances, regionally and internationally, where world economies are falling apart and terrorism is surging in many countries. Therefore, there is a dire need for solidarity to build a better life for future generations. The Arab Spring movement, he noted, is facing fresh challenges since its demands have failed to be met due to clashes in government's agendas. On the Syrian front, he said, the Arab world is concerned over the ongoing bloodshed and the destruction of the infrastructure that forced thousands of Syrians to flee their homeland. On the Palestinian cause, he said the state has made a vital improvement as it was granted a non-member observer state status and the United Nations an international acknowledgement of the rights of the Palestinian people. He called on resuming the Palestinian-Israeli peace negotiations to achieve stability in the Middle East. He noted that this conference discussed many political, parliamentary, social, and organizational matters aimed at pushing cooperation among Arab parliaments further. A Kuwaiti parliamentary delegation partaking in an Asian Parliamentary Assembly or APA meeting in the Iranian capital Tehran on April 6th denounced the killing of Muslims in Myanmar. The head of the delegation, MP Saleh Ashur, addressed the APA meeting and said the State of Kuwait condemns and denounces the killing, slaying, intimidation, and persecution of Muslims in Arakan region in Myanmar. He said a Kuwaiti parliamentary team would visit Myanmar by the end of the month in order to have a first-hand look at the violation of the political and human rights and conditions of the Muslims there. He highly condemned the draft resolution on the fight against terrorism and foreign occupation, which he said ran compatible with the principles and goals of the APA Charter, which supports the security and peace and stability of all world peoples in general and Asian people in particular. Ashur stressed the significance of suggested draft resolutions, which reflected the APA's activities, pointing to a draft resolution calling for supporting a Palestinian state and protecting the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people. On Syria, the Kuwaiti Member of Parliament said, peaceful dialogue involving all the spectra of the Syrian people is the only way to resolve the Syrian crisis, to stem bloodshed, and to prevent destruction. He also underlined the importance of establishing friendship and cooperation among Asian countries, considering the achieving and consolidation of friendship and cooperation a key matter for security, peace, and stability in Asia. Meanwhile, the Kuwaiti parliamentary delegation presented a draft resolution to the APA Executive Board meeting on the protection of Muslims in Myanmar. The document, which was read out by MP Ashur, called on the international community to take action to stop the serious violation of the Muslim minorities' rights in Myanmar. It also called for immediate humanitarian aid to Muslims in the Arakan region, especially those living in refugee camps in Bangladesh. It even condemned a law adopted by the government of Myanmar in 2001 banning the building or restoration of mosques there.